Yes, sir. Well, we started off and left off with the Griffins scoring the first 3 points, but after that, well, you pretty much took over.
Yeah, well, you just, when the other team is struggling, score and do that, which is what their situation was. Just kind of kick the ball down to their end of the field, and somehow, it's real hard when you're not putting a lot of points on the board and everything else. Hard to sustain any kind of drive. So if you put them as far away from the goal line as you can, you have a good chance they're going to end up punting it back to you, and you're going to get good field position. And that's what the game was yesterday. Was the field position game.
Absolutely, and that's kind of strange for them too, because as you know, and I know you probably even recruited him yourself. They do have a pretty good punter for 99% of the time. He puts the ball pretty far and close to the goal line.
Yeah, he's definitely a good player.
But then again, you don't want to have that guy. Jordan and I were having a laugh about it. You also don't want your punter to be your number one guy, because that means the offense isn't doing their job. So,
absolutely.
At any rate, what do you think of Brad's performance? I know that you put him in a situation which you have to put him into. I mean, if he's ever going to be the number one guy, he's got to be able to be ready. And typically with the second string guy at any level, you're usually going to hand off the ball and use the ground game to your advantage. But you did have him throw the ball a few times. What were your overall thoughts on his performance for being thrown into it?
I thought he handled the pressure well. We went over the game plan together, and he's been getting a lot of reps in practice the entire year. He's got into a couple of games, but this was his first extensive playing time, and he did a good job. He kept us in position to score, which is what we really wanted from our quarterbacks all the time, really. So that worked out well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have the page up right now, but I'm pretty sure he only threw 2 picks too. So for his first time in a game, and one of those picks came pretty late, I think that he did a definitely overall fantastic job. I mean, you get the win, and you don't turn the ball over too often, then I think you're doing a pretty good job, and I'm sure you feel the same way about how Brad did.
Yeah, it's not a negative to be called a game manager. Alex Smith made a lot of money doing that. You've got good players. We have really good receivers who are fast. We have 3 running backs that are doing a good job. DeAndre Daniels finally got some, good work and ran the ball real well. He's been work in progress the whole season. So for him to get healthy and be able to advance that was good. So it was just better Brad executing the game plan and knowing when to try to take a shot down the field.
And I know you have confidence in him too, because I mean, otherwise you wouldn't have picked him up yourself. I mean, I know he's your number 2 guy, but even to become a number 2 guy on a community college team, I mean, you're that much closer to the field. Typically, I think even more so than when you're in college, or when you're in high school rather. So I think
things change a lot at this level.
And Chapman had a decent game, but you're right. It was nice to see DeAndre finally have a breakout game, because it's been a while since I've heard his name called out on the field, especially at home, as much as we've been hearing about Chapman. And to have 2 great running backs like that, I'm sure that makes a head coach real happy.
We utilize kind of a motion tight end kind of guy. And so the back's got to really be able to pound it up in there sometimes. And he did a good job.
And then as far as your defense against Grossmont's offense, I mean, like you said, it's unfortunate, but that's what their struggle's been is I think in the quarterback position in particular. I mean, personally, if they would have had the same quarterback that they started off with last year, they could have been a little different game. But that's neither here nor there. They have who they have, and I believe they had both quarterbacks in, but it started off as that neighborhood rivalry, but then once Chapman got in there, I think it pretty much went from there. And to give Grossmont their due, their defense played well, but it's like if you're on the field, as you know, if you're on the field most of the game, that's not going to score you very many points.
Well, they defensively they play real hard. They swarm to the ball. They do a lot of good things. They have some really good players out there. They were just field position situation for the defense. So, kind of work that way.
That's what happens when you have a younger team, more freshmen. You know that better than anybody. If it's all about that, if you miss your assignment or you're out of position, just that one or two plays, that could be a turn of the game right there.
Yes, absolutely.
So we got another win over one of our county teams. Mesa did win, I believe, yesterday though. They
beat Cerritos 23-22.
Yeah, they hung on is maybe a better phrase for that. They hung on, and I think that is big still. I mean, they're still at the top by game.
Yep.
I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. That your student of the game has had a pretty good season so far.
Absolutely. He's got him believing, and that's half the battle right there. When you win a tight game like that against a quality opponent like Cerritos, that really shows that the team's come together for him.
So we're heading down to the very end of the regular season, Coach. And anything to say just about the past, in the past that you know about your next opponent and what they strive on?
Well, they use the Bill Belichick method on the Riverside. So we've been saying it all year, on the whoever. Now it's on the Riverside. They're big, fast, and strong. There's no doubt about it. And those are three pretty good elements for a football team. They do a good job in the kicking game, and they've got a lot of local talent that's playing for them right now because that area has a unique blend of ethnic backgrounds that puts them in a good position. They haven't had to, as in the past out there, they would go and look all over the place when most of the talent was right there at home.
I could say watching them play Grossmont, I don't know if that's well, actually I do know that it's typical. I talked to a photographer that travels with them, a retired gentleman. I wish I could remember his name. He knew of my dad though, and he's from Riverside County. But I'm not surprised. I mean, my dad did it long enough and he traveled enough to know. But he told me that pretty typical of Riverside is they'll start off slow, and for instance, Grossmont, they were pretty much dominating almost the first quarter, and then I asked the gentleman. He said, "Yeah, just wait." He goes, "That's how they do. The first half they sputter out a little bit, and then the second half they come back and put 50 on you." And he's like, so you got to have that defense that can go the distance and have them conditioned because this team can get hot in a hurry. So I'm sure you're already aware of that, and then once you see the film, that'll pretty much confirm it.
Well, a lot of times a team like that, they go downhill football very. They go, we're going to win this game, it's just going to be a matter of the score. So they go about the first half just getting stats and getting catches and runs and stuff like that for kids to get scholarship activity on it. Well, that they're going to be able to step on the gas pedal. And so that's part of that mentality. Actually, you believe you're going to win, and you are who you are, and all that. Sometimes you can get snuck up on like Oklahoma.
Oh my goodness, that one I'm still having a slight coronary from seeing that. I said I don't believe that that's happening, but we could look at last week too. What happened in Wisconsin, and it's like any week can be something really quirky like that. It happens any given Friday, any given Saturday, any given Sunday.
Especially in college, you just don't know who's going to show up every week. You know who your players are, but you're not sure who your team is. Sometimes you got to just take their temperature before the game, see if they're ready to play. As a coach, you can tell them as many times as you want, but unless they're ready to hear it, that the other team can beat you, they're not going to pay much attention to what you have to say.
Absolutely, I'm a firm believer on that, and I've learned it myself. Just this is my 10th year doing this. I don't have the years my dad did, but still 10 years. I've learned a lot. I've seen a lot more than I've seen in my younger years. But even the that it was a penalty of unnecessary roughness when when the kid went up in the air. I forget which one it was, and we were talking about it. That usually gets called for unnecessary roughness when I forgot who went up in the air from your squad, but he kicked number 6 in the face mask. Yeah, I said I have never heard of that call ever, but it was more knowledge.
Well, we had 19 penalties for like 275 yards, some ridiculous amount.
You were the Raiders. I already said it yesterday to my son. I had my son on the sidelines with me, and I said, son, they've been so good about the penalties. They had one last week, and now they're back to the Raiders as far as the penalties are concerned.
We are the Raiders. I think they definitely know when we're going to be there. They start adding a few pellets into that yellow flag. It doesn't go as far.
But there is a lot of, since it is a neighborhood rivalry, there's a lot of chipping at each other and and some talking. Boy, I heard it quite a bit in each quarter, whether it came from your side or came from their side. They're just back and forth on. But you kind of come to expect it. I mean, that's you guys are a big rivalry, and it's part of the game. I think as long as no one's getting physically hurt, it is what it is. It's part of football.
It is, you're right. Especially in this scenario, playing somebody who's a bunch of their kids at one point in time came to Southwestern and practiced with us, and they ended up selecting Grossmont for whatever reason, some kind of fit, and put us in a position where we're at. So.
Well, I was real proud to have been there on that night too, not only for the game, but it was good to see some of my East County kids. Matter of fact, I was telling Ramon, I said, put the picture up. I said, that's good for Southwestern, that's good for us. It was Nathan Temple was there from Santana, quarterback. Nathan Hughes was there from Santana. I can't remember his name right now, but there's another kid from El Capitan that was there. And
James Odom from Grossmont.
Yeah. I said, come on guys, now get in a picture. I go, these are my East County boys. I said, I want a picture, and right here, you guys are here, and I know what you're here for. And they go, what's your second reasoning for this? And I said, so I can send it to Moni that's at home, while I'm here at where all the action is. So, but it was really not. It's really nice to see that, to see all the kids you've seen playing for a couple of years, and then they're checking out the college, and it's always good to see that many East County kids, and those are some talented kids that were watching that game. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, there was a lot of kids. It was great. We had that. All the food was gone. They all sat on the balcony up there and watched the game, and a bunch of chairs up there. So it was definitely gave us a chance to showcase our program and what we're trying to do for kids.
It was great, and then the only reason I got to meet those kids, they said, well, the food was gone at that point, so we grabbed some waters, and they said, and then we saw, I know they were joking with me, maybe they weren't, but they said, and then we saw the famous guy standing on the sidelines taking video, and I go, well, who was that? And then they said it was you, Mr. Dickens, and I said, oh, I'm far from famous, guys. I said, you guys are going to be the famous ones. But I said, but it is nice to hear when you young kids are having respect for media guys. I'm just trying to get you prepped for your interviews, for your future at community college, at the four-year universities, and hopefully further than that. That's if you can talk well, then I've done my job.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Just.
So great game, Coach.
Thank you.
And great. I mean, you put on a great thing for those kids too, and I'm sure they appreciate it. The parents appreciate it. And good luck on your recruitment. And I will say, Tom Kraft and his crew. That's a tough team there. Good luck on playing those guys. I've seen them.
You bet.
I've seen them, and if you beat those guys, you're really going to make a statement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. It's great to have a chance to measure yourself against the guys everybody thinks is number one. So.
Well, as Herm Edwards would say, you play to win the game, right?
That's it, right there. That's a good one. I have to remember that one this week.
You got to tell them, because that's exactly what it is. But it's always a pleasure, Coach, and I will be there for that, pending if I have one more travesty, I tell you. But if I don't, I'll see you on Thursday online for our show.
Sounds good. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Ed. Bye-bye.